All right, well, I want to thank everyone for joining us today and participating in what's going to be a really fun seminar. We all like to eat, so maybe we can mix in some things that are actually brain boosting and keeps us all a little smarter and a little sharper. Our two guest speakers today, the first is Melissa Bassler, who's a registered occupational therapist here in New Hampshire and Vermont. She's certified with the National Board of Occupational Therapy with a practice area emphasis in geriatrics. And she is our rehab director here at Hillside Village. Health Pro Heritage is here on site for the benefit of our independent living residents, as well as our assisted living and memory care residents on campus. So it's really nice because they can go right to a person's apartment and treat them there. Our second guest speaker is Jenna Minutini. Did I say that right?
Minetti. I know there's a lot of N's and I's and T's.
Okay, all right. And she's a registered dietitian with a bachelor's of science in nutrition from Keene State College, where she also completed her dietetic internship. She works here in the Prospect Woodward Health Center with our dining team to ensure that all the proper nutrition and special dietary needs are met for all the residents that live here in assisted living and memory care. And then just to introduce you to the Hillside team, some of you know Judy Francine, who's the marketing director for Hillside Village and the Prospect Woodward Health Center. Tracy Borden, who is the residency counselor for Hillside Village Keene. Judy and Tracy both work with people that are looking at our independent living apartments in the main campus building. And I'm Joy Peterson, and my job is to work with people that are looking at assisted living or memory care here at the Prospect Woodward Health Center. So we can help you with all the different areas and answer questions and things of that nature if you have any of those. So I'm going to turn this over now to Melissa and let her do her job and start the presentation.
Thanks, Joy. And Jenna, I'm going to refer to you for questions specifically. Of course, I have a personal interest in nutrition, and I enjoy it, but you're the expert. So any specific questions regarding food choices and any specific meal recommendations and such, I'll yield to Jenna for those. But of course, I'm here too to answer questions. Thanks for joining. My name is Melissa, as Joy had said, and I'm the rehab director here. So normally within the community, I'll do a health and wellness lecture for the residents and on a variety of topics. So this is a really good one. I've done this for the residents here in independent living and assisted living, and it's been a great turnout. So we'll begin. Eating for a sharper mind. So eat from my brain, really, that's the question. The brain is the most complex organ we have and also one of the most important. And that's why keeping it healthy is critical, especially as you get older. And of course, your brain naturally changes over time as we age. But the central mission of your brain never changes. Its job is to help you make sense of the world and oversee the daily operations of life. Next. The brain also governs our capacity to think, learn, reason, and remember, and is also the control center for virtually every other bodily process that we have. An interesting fact, a lot of the residents got a kick out of this. Your brain weighs about 3 pounds. The dry weight is 60% fat, making your brain the fattiest organ in our body. And the brain can light a 20-watt light bulb with the electric energy it puts out when it's functioning well. The brain information moves anywhere between 1 mile per hour and an impressive 268 miles per hour, which is amazing. And this is faster than the Formula One race cars. So it just kind of gives an idea how important the brain is and how we feed the brain. Next. Most of us probably spend more time thinking about whether our food contains enough fiber for our GI tract than we do about whether or not we're getting enough nutrients for our brain. And I know in these times, there's a lot of research too, Jenna, you can help me with this, on your gut immunity and how it affects your overall health. And then you've also got, in this presentation, the components of eating the most important foods to keep your brain sharp.
Yeah. The gut brain connection is major, especially from the vagus nerve, which connects our GI tract to our brain. There really is such a strong connection. And you're right, Melissa. I mean, most of our immune system resides inside of our gut tract. So, the foods we eat definitely have a major impact, not only on our immune health, but also our brain health as well.
Next. So there's no denying that as we age, our body ages right along with us, but research is showing that you can increase your chances of maintaining a healthy brain well into the older age if you're adding certain foods to your daily eating regime. And so we're going to touch on some of those foods that are important to add. The link between diet and heart health is well known, but a growing body of scientific evidence suggests we can eat what we eat can also have a direct influence on the brain. So the research in this area, it's continuing and it's growing, and it's been given the name neuronutrition. There is now proof that consuming certain foods can change our moods, help us think faster, that a healthy diet can reduce the risk of Alzheimer's disease and other forms of dementia.
And are there foods that will do the opposite too? That increase the chances of Alzheimer or dementia? Like
Do you want?
Or...
Yeah, go ahead, Jenna. Yeah, go ahead.
Yes. So, there is a lot of research coming out about artificial sweeteners. So, things that are in diet sodas, specifically aspartame is one of those types of artificial sweeteners. They have a really big impact on our gut microbiome, which is the healthy gut bacteria. So if we are eating something that's really, decreasing the amount of that good gut bacteria, it really can affect how our brain ages and, how the different neurons are protected. So artificial sweeteners, as well as just a lot of those processed foods that cause inflammation. So things that have a lot of white flour in them, that have a lot of added sugars, so crackers, cookies, cakes, things like that. Eating more of those fresh foods, those are going to have those anti-inflammatory impacts, which as more of the processed foods have the pro-inflammatory impacts, which really does affect our brain and inflammation as well. You can go ahead, Melissa.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I know there's some research too, neurological, such as Parkinson's and things like that. They're doing research with the artificial sweeteners and the link between that and neurological diseases and as you age and such. So yeah, there's a lot of research going on with that. That's a good question, Joy.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
Yep.
So think about it. Your brain is always on. It takes care of your thoughts and your movements, your breathing and heartbeat, and your senses. It works hard 24/7, even while you're asleep. So this means that you require a constant supply of fuel, and that fuel is going to come from food. And what's in that fuel, makes all the difference. Put simply, what you eat directly affects the structure and function of your brain and ultimately your mood. Like an expensive car, your brain functions best when it gets premium fuel. So eating those high quality foods that contain lots of vitamins, minerals, antioxidants, Nourishes the brain and protects it from stress, free radicals.
I've heard free radicals are associated with a lot of cancers too. Is that true?
Yeah, go ahead, Jenna. I'm leading.
Oh. Perfect then. So free radicals, they're basically these crazy little particles that bounce around our tissues, and when they're kind of bouncing around like that, they're causing damage to our tissues, and a lot of times that's when cancer can develop. So what antioxidants do is they actually go and they find those free radicals, and they attach themselves to it, so it makes them more stable. Oh. So that free radical is no longer bouncing around. Now it has this antioxidant attached to it, so it has to kind of do what the antioxidant says. Oh. So absolutely, yep. Those free radicals, that's what we really, really want to limit, because they can do a lot of damage to our internal tissues.
Oh, excellent. I'm sure we'll talk about which foods have which in it, so I won't ask that question yet.
We'll get to it.
Okay.
Best foods for the brain. Here we go. So this fruit is one of the healthiest ones you can consume. Often it gets a bad rap because of its high fat content. It's important to note that avocados are packed with monosaturated fats, or the good kind. Keep your blood sugar levels steady. So containing both vitamins B, C, K, folate, avocados prevent blood clots in the brain, protecting you from stroke, as well as help cognitive function, especially both memory and concentration. And when I did this presentation for our assisted living residents, there were a handful that have never had an avocado. And so—
Oh, really?
Yeah, so they said, hey, can you please put your hand out in Dietary's mailbox? And maybe they should start incorporating avocados and such in our diet. So there's a whole bunch of different foods, but it was interesting how, a lot of the residents have never had an avocado. And I tried to say guacamole, if you've had chips and salsa and guac, and no, they haven't had avocados. So this is a good one. Yeah.
Oh my gosh, they must try avocado.
Yeah, I love it.
I know, me too. Me too. Okay, we'll move on to the next slide.
Okay.
Omega-3 fats build brain cell membranes, reduce brain inflammation, and promote new brain cell formation. They can improve your mood and memory and give you protection against brain disorders ranging from depression to dementia. So that includes the broccoli, and a lot of residents have never had an anchovy too. Anchovy and tuna and salmon and walnuts. So Jenna, feel free to just jump in on each screen if there's anything you want to add to
Okay.
the presentation. Feel free.
So I'll just jump in a little bit. So omega-3s really are the superstar of fats. So, as Melissa's been talking about, they're so good for inflammation. They really help decrease inflammation. They really, help with brain function. So the one thing that research is showing is that we have a huge imbalance of omega-6s to omega-3s. So the omega-6s are another type of fat, but they're basically in everything that we eat. We do not have a hard time getting these at all. They're in meat, they're in nuts, they're in vegetables, they're in beans. I mean, they're really in everything. So what it's showing is that we have this high intake of omega-6, but a really low intake of omega-3s. And omega-6s are very highly, they're very pro-inflammatory. So if we can just increase that intake of omega-3s just to match our omega-6 intake, that can really help with overall health, just because of that anti-inflammatory aspect, which, since we're talking about the brain, inflammation definitely does affect the brain. So, you don't necessarily have to decrease your intakes of omega-6s, but it's just about really focusing on the omega-3s. Where can I fit that in each meal if possible?
And do you think it's best to do the omega-3 supplements or to get omega-3s from your food?
I always promote food first, just because, that's obviously ideal, but we don't live in an ideal world, you know. It's really about being realistic. So if you think that you can get, you know, omega-3s every single day, then I don't think that you need a supplement. But if you're someone who struggles, you know, to eat enough seafood or eat enough fatty nuts, then I definitely do consider taking a fish oil supplement, just because of how protective those are to our cells and our brain cells.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's the tricky part, knowing to take the food and the supplement, just as long as you're getting your omega-3s, definitely. All right, Joy, we'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
So another food, also the residents really enjoy beets, I found out. Best foods for the brain, beets. They seem intimidating food for many people, even vegetable lovers. But this root vegetable are some of the most nutritious plants you can eat. They reduce inflammation, high in cancer protecting antioxidants, and help rid your blood of toxins. The natural nitrates in the beets actually boost blood flow to the brain, helping with mental performance and creating a sharper mind. And I think the key for beets is it's an acquired taste. And so to kind of get an idea of, do you like it a little bit of a marinade in your beets or on a salad, or to find so you can really incorporate it. I have a couple really close girlfriends that drink beet juice, and I've tried it before, and it's quite something for sure. It's definitely an acquired taste, but there's so many benefits to beets.
Oh. And that's if you eat them in a healthy manner. I'm assuming too much salt or, you know, the wrong kind of marinade might counteract that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yum.
The next one, blueberries. Great things do come in small packages. So blueberries have so many great health benefits while tasting like an all-natural candy. One of the highest antioxidant-rich foods known to man, including vitamin C, vitamin K, and fiber. They're good for protecting our brains from degenerating from stress. So blueberries, definitely easy to get, easy to put in and put in oatmeal, cereal, or just snack as is.
And what is gallic acid?
Gallic acid, Jenna.
You know, I have not come across that. Now I'm going to be going on a Google spree after this.
Gallic acid, I know. I would have to look that up too for blueberries.
All right, sorry, I didn't mean to trip.
No, it's good. I love learning new things.
Well, we will send out that information when we find it.
That's right.
And I will add one thing. So, you know, fruits like blueberries, yes, they're excellent for us. They're just always good to pair with something else, because blood sugar control is really, really important for brain health as well. So if we're having carbohydrates alone, you know, like I said, fruit is so good for us, but it is a rich source of carbohydrates. So you just want to make sure you're pairing that with something that has some fat or protein with it to help slow how fast the sugar from that fruit enters our bloodstream. So if you pair your fruit with, like, you know, just a little handful of nuts, you know, maybe putting, you know, or maybe having like a little bit of almond butter or peanut butter on the side. You just always want to pair your fruit with something that has fat or protein, just to help lessen the impact that fruit has on our blood sugar levels. So definitely want to eat fruit every single day. It's just about pairing it with other things, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Serious snackers know there's nothing like a good nut, and science agrees. So adding walnuts, like Jenna just said, to your diet hosts a whole bunch of benefits. And study has shown walnuts boosts your memory and age-proof your mind. So walnuts are a good choice.
Do they have the same effect as almonds? I've always heard almonds are great for you too.
You know, I just would go with a nut choice with your snacks every day. I don't know specifics about walnuts in general. I would think just adding healthy nuts to your diet. I've heard good things about macadamia nuts, sunflower seeds, and things like that for your diet. So adding those items.
Excellent.
Yep,
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. I was gonna say I would absolutely agree. You know, it's not specifically, you don't have to eat a specific kind of nut. It's just getting more of those kind of foods into your diet. So if you don't like walnuts, if you like cashews or pistachios or almonds better, go for those. It's all about, you know, eating what you enjoy too, so you want to eat these things.
Excellent.
And next is the banana. It's a healthy alternative to processed foods and 99.5% fat-free. So eating a banana has been shown to help the brain function at its best. So bananas are slow energy release, and this helps the brain to stay alert. They're containing tryptophan, which works to elevate the mood by stimulating serotonin production. So serotonin helps keep the mood stable and bright. This enhances the brain function by eliminating that foggy feeling. So I think for bananas, I think the slow release is important and kind of fulfilling and helps you maintain that alertness. And it's so interesting to me how one food can do that for your body.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And there's also is there a lot of fiber in bananas?
There is some, you know, they actually tend to be a little bit on the lower side. Things like apples, berries, you know, anything where you can eat the skin, peaches, pears, plums, those will have the highest fiber. But, you know, bananas are so good. So, you know, yes, they have a little bit less fiber, but they also have so many other benefits, many benefits.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And it turns out that Popeye was onto something with the spinach obsession. So getting regular helpings of leafy green brain foods like kale, Swiss chard, and romaine lettuce can help keep dementia at bay, according to new research. So I think the key is incorporating what you like. Some people don't like the texture of kale. So if you can find other leafy greens to incorporate, because I know for a while kale was there was a big kick of kale, everything. But some people don't like kale. So just making sure you get those items in your meals, and especially here at the health center, a lot of the residents like to request a salad and get those leafy greens. So this was a popular one for the residents here. This was important to them.
And it's so easy. I probably have spinach like every day, one way or another, for iron and all the different vitamins that are in it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Never too late to feed your brain. Over a lifetime, low quality fuel can be a major contributing factor to declining memory performance or cognitive impairment. For those of you who have not been providing high quality fuel for their brains, there's good news. It's never too late. So we just started. How do you get started is the question. So use food alternatives defined as foods that are regarded as healthier to foods that are prepared or produced by conventional methods, sometimes called organic or vegetarian. So here they have a few ways to get started during each meal of the day. So for breakfast, avoiding those unnecessary fatty foods and high amounts of sugar, fat-free milk instead of whole or 2% milk, egg whites or egg beaters instead of whole eggs. And I know that over time, so many things change. You know, they said eggs were good for you, then whole eggs are not good for you. So I'm always reading new research about different food items, high cholesterol, no cholesterol, or it's okay to eat whole eggs. So it gets tricky for the consumer, I feel, on food choices. You just want to do what's best, but there's so many research studies out there.
Yes, there is. I mean, and I honestly, I always say, like, I think that people must think that, you know, people in our field, like dietitians, nutritionists, think that we're crazy because we're always changing what we're recommending, but we're really just trying to follow the research, which is like you said, Melissa, is always changing.
Yeah.
So, you know, these days, what they're saying is, you know, one whole egg per day is safe. or 7 eggs per week is safe. But what they're also showing is what we're eating with the eggs. So are we having pancakes, waffles, white toast, those things that are very highly processed, which when we're eating that with the eggs can change how those eggs are digested and absorbed. So it's really about what we're having along with those eggs too.
And I think the other popular item right now is going with almond milk. But my daughter likes almond milk, but if I end up buying the vanilla sweetened, like that has a lot of sugar in it. So you have to be careful too. You're thinking you're choosing the almond milk, but you really have to read the labels and know how much sugar is in these items, because you don't want to start your day with a sugary drink, in maybe a sugary cereal.
Right. And as you know, they will hide sugar in any way, shape, or form that they can to make that food taste better.
Yes. Yeah. I find that with salt also, a lot of your diet food is loaded with salt because they've taken out the fat, which provides a lot of flavor too.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah. So I think we're going to move on to breakfast. So we're still going to go on to breakfast. So recommendations for ham or turkey bacon instead of regular bacon. You can do the Greek yogurt instead of the prepackaged fruit and yogurt cups. Whole grain bagel or toast with the fruit preserve instead of a white bagel or toast. Agave syrup. So those natural sweeteners, maple syrup, or fresh fruit instead of store-bought syrup. We use maple syrup quite a bit as sweeteners. My daughter and I just made dark chocolate almond butter cups, and it called for maple syrup instead of, to mix. So using those natural sweeteners are better than the white sugar.
And the fruit cups I noticed, because I like those. I try to get them with no sugar added, but I guess they're really I should just eat a peach instead of those quick prepackaged fruit cups.
Yeah, they can be good in a pinch, or if you're in a rush, or for someone who's on the go a lot, just having something that can be easy to eat with a spoon can be good. But if you can, choose the fresh versions, because they'll have a lot more of the fiber and the nutrients available.
Okay. Awesome. All right, lunch.
Moving on to lunch. Lunch alternatives. So having that leafy green salad with light or vinegar-based dressing instead of iceberg lettuce with the creamy dressings. Opting for light cheddar cheese instead of other fatty cheeses, or skim mozzarella cheese. Light mayo with olive oil or mustard versus the regular mayonnaise with the high fat content. Whole wheat pitas and whole wheat bread instead of the white bread, and the baked turkey and baked chicken instead of the salty deli meats. So just a little modifications or attention to your diet, because you might be doing these already. I enjoy apple cider vinegar, so I like that as a base for my salads.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
it's really just about those little tiny changes that really can make a big difference.
And now dinner, so opting for a lean ground beef, organic grass-fed, or organic ground turkey or ground chicken instead of regular ground beef. Fresh or frozen vegetables. I know there's a lot of great options now to get organic frozen veggies at Hannaford's instead of the canned vegetables, which often have a lot of sodium in them. Chicken breast instead of the chicken thighs and legs. Fish or tofu instead of red meat. You can do the brown rice, quinoa instead of the white rice, and whole wheat or brown rice pasta instead of white pasta. So, and it's also important to keep the portion control. I know there's a lot of resources out there for how much meat should be the size of your palm, or to make it kind of real time, to make it easy to know what portion controls is for each of those items.
Yep. And then things like starches, so pasta, potatoes, rice, those are normally like the size of your fists. So that's about one portion size. And with carbohydrates, with all foods, it's important to pay attention to portion size. But with carbohydrates, we really do want to try and focus on that fist-size portion, just because really anything over that, our body has a hard time using. And once again, a lot of the keys for brain health is to keep our blood sugar levels in control. So, by eating that set amount, we're not going to be overeating on those carbs, which can really affect, our blood sugar levels.
Right. And then they always say when you have a plate of food, it should look like a rainbow, right? You should have a lot of bright colors on your plate rather than the whites and the browns and the starches.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And healthy desserts, one of my favorite topics.
I'm so glad to see chocolate.
Chocolate chip strawberries. And that's why I was reading about dark chocolate, and 72% of the chocolate and higher is better. Chocolate dip frozen bananas, so you have the fruits but then you have the sweetness too. Sorbet instead of ice cream, pudding with granola, baked apples with cinnamon, peanut butters on a graham cracker, and rice cakes with peanut butter. And this is always a topic, I feel like if you're going to indulge, then go ahead and get the Breyers real ice cream that has like the 5 ingredients in it, rather than doing a diet ice cream that has the artificial sweeteners. Is that right, Jenna?
Yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right. Even though the real ice cream, may have a little bit more fat in it, that's, that sugar-free one or that diet ice cream, it's going to have a lot of additives to it to make it taste, good. So they're going to add a lot more sugar to it, a lot more preservatives just to make it taste good because they took all of that, the fat out. So I definitely recommend getting the full-on real thing, especially if it's a special treat or a special holiday, or if you're just really feeling like real ice cream, then you should absolutely go for it.
Mm-hmm.
I find that with peanut butter too. I tend to eat the Teddy peanut butter, which it literally has one ingredient, peanuts.
That's the best one.
Yeah, if you look at the others, it's amazing how much other stuff is in, Jiffy and all the other peanut butters. So it's even the kind of, peanut butter, or like you said, the type of ice cream.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And of course, if you've got pre-existing medical conditions, if you're diabetic and such, you have to follow those types of dietary restrictions. So you do have to opt for that. Of course, following your doctor's recommendations and such. But if you can just go with whole ingredients and not the artificial sweeteners, that's important.
Yeah.
If you did have, I don't know if anyone has diabetes that's on today's conference, would you say most of these things, I know fruit, you have to be careful how much fruit they eat because of the natural sugar?
Mm-hmm.
Is that true?
Yep. So, it's just really kind of coming back to that idea of pairing. So, just making sure that you're pairing your fruit with something else that has fat or protein with it. Just to decrease how fast that sugar enters our blood. I mean, I always try to tell, those with diabetes, try to shoot for something like fruits with maybe like a little bit of whipped cream on it or something, just something that's gonna have some of that fiber along with it, which we know is so important for blood sugar control. But there are some really great options here, like the fruit with yogurt dip. The yogurt would probably have some protein in it, so that's a good option for diabetics. The chocolate dip strawberries, because it still has the full fruit there with it. The baked apple with cinnamon. Definitely a lot of good choices here for those who are on a diabetic diet.
Okay, great.
So snacking, I know we all like to snack. So, and they're saying isn't completely bad, but it's all in moderation, and then making the healthy choices. Healthy, good for you snacks can be part of a healthy diet, which you need to do to not only fuel the brain, but to live healthfully. To snack the sensible way, choose nutrient-rich snacks. So this is a great one. I think it's some hummus and some apples and celery. So choosing the right snacks and everything in moderation. I know some days I would love to grab a bag of chips, but I don't. And just snack on some salty, but it's all in moderation, right?
Yes.
Well, maybe there's certain chips that you can snack on that are better than others.
Maybe. I try to justify like a veggie chip, but if you read the ingredients a lot of times, it's
Yeah, same thing.
you're better off having a good old carrot stick.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So a time for sharing. So does anyone have a favorite food alternative or snacks that they enjoy to make? If you want to add some healthy snacks or non-healthy snacks, I'm curious. Just unmute your mic and let us know.
No snackers out there?
No snack?
Rice cake.
A rice cake? Oh, where are we? Let me see if I can see. Okay, there we go. I heard a rice cake.
You did.
Oh, okay, thank you. Do you put anything on your rice cake?
No.
No.
Okay. I like granola bars if I can. Try to get like the Kind bars or something like that, which I'm hoping is a little bit better for you with less sugar.
Mhm.
Yep. I'll say one of mine. I absolutely love some low-fat cottage cheese. You know, got some really, really good protein there with celery. I'm more of a savory kind of cottage cheese person versus a sweet one. But I love dipping some celery and cottage cheese and just snacking on that.
Huh.
That's a good one.
Like bananas.
Mhm.
Is a snack.
Oh, yeah.
Bananas are good, yeah. All right, should we?
Yeah, we can go.
We've got some summaries and we'll try to pull up that handout for everyone. So the right foods will help you use your brain to the max. And the more you use it, the more you'll challenge your brain to grow new cells, create new connections, and improve your problem solving and memory functions. So eating for a sharper mind is really, really important. And it can happen at any time. You can introduce this at any time. So the bottom line is nourish your noggin.
Yeah. It really is important, and all the foods we've discussed have other benefits that help your body in general. So it could be very easy to incorporate that information.
Yeah, yeah. Do you want me to try to share that one handout we have, Joy?
Yeah, yeah.
Let
You
me
should,
see if
you
I
should
can.
be able to. I'm going to stop sharing my screen so that you can share yours.
Let's see, share screen. There we go. Can everyone see that?
Okay.
Yes.
This is a nice memory boosting food chart. So we've got the vegetables and leafy greens. And it's good to kind of take each item and think about how often you eat these, and then how can you introduce them weekly in a meal, or choose the correct selection. I know here at Hillside Village, they do a great job at incorporating a lot of these items into their meals, their dinner meals, and even lunch. So you've got the spinach and the radishes, which I'm not a huge fan of radish, but I would opt for broccoli instead. Cauliflower and the new trend of cauliflower rice, using that. My kids always say it stinks up my kitchen because it smells so powerful. So cauliflower rice. And then you've got your omega fatty acids. Sardines, tuna, flax seeds, beans, nuts, mackerel, and halibut. You've also got coffee, chocolate, and spices. You've got coffee, dark chocolate, cocoa powder, turmeric, and curry. You've got your list of antioxidant-rich berries and dark-skinned fruits. strawberries, blueberries, oranges, raspberries, cherries, and plums. And then you've got your fats and oils, extra virgin olive oil, avocados, olives, and coconut oil. So Jenna, I need your opinion on fats and oils. Out of those four, are they all equally healthy and they should be selected, or is there one more than others, or it depends on the taste and what you're looking for? Because I cook with coconut oil once in a while, and that's I put those in my dark chocolate peanut butter or almond butter cups, and I can taste it a little bit, but I'm not used to cooking with coconut oil. I usually use extra virgin olive oil.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I would also add in there avocado oil. If you ever see avocado oil at the store, that can be a really good one to buy. Just because obviously made from avocado, so it's got all the omega-3s in it. It also has a higher smoke point, so you can cook a little bit higher temperature. You know, with olive oil, it's mostly just saute.
Yeah.
But avocado oil, you can, cook at a little bit higher temp. But all of them are excellent. Coconut oil does have a little bit more saturated fat in it, but the saturated fat from coconut oil is absorbed differently than, let's say, saturated fat from red meats. It's broken down differently in the body, so it's not pro-inflammatory like saturated fat from red meat would be. So I think that they're all excellent. So it's really just about taste and cooking styles, because once again, with coconut oil, olive oil, you have to cook at a little bit lower temps, but if you need a higher temp cooking oil, then avocado oil is good.
Yeah.
And hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah.
This
Definitely.
actually, some of this reminds me of the Mediterranean diet, which I know a lot of people had switched to for different, health benefits. Jenna, do you agree that that's a good way to think?
Yes. Yep. The Mediterranean diet is really the winner every time when they do research studies on different diets and brain health, heart health. The Mediterranean diet always comes out on top. And that is kind of funny that you notice that this really is resembling a lot of that style of eating. I think it's just leaving out maybe some low fat, fat-free dairy, but other than that, it's very spot on. So you're right.
Always something I tend to lean towards fish and different things like that too. So, but yeah, I had always heard that that's really a great way to sort of to think every day to eat that type of diet.
Yep.
And then you've got the caffeine and the antioxidants in the coffee chocolate section. And I know research has shown that that can help ward off some age-related memory impairments and cognitive deficits, having that caffeine and the antioxidants. So that's a nice selection right there between coffee and cocoa powder.
Yes.
We can do that.
Yes.
Now I have to be the one to say it looks like red wine might be missing from this list.
Thank you, Joy.
Everything in moderation, right? Just a
Yeah.
nice glass of red every night.
Yeah.
Heart healthy. It's good for you.
With your
Yeah.
chocolate.
So I have a
Yep.
question about the red wine. Is red wine supposed to be healthier than white wine, or is there not much difference in any health benefit that might accrue?
That's a good question. Go ahead,
It's
John.
healthier to the heart.
Heart healthy. That's right.
The red wine will have some more antioxidants in it, just because of that red color from those red grapes, which is called the anthocyanins. That's the color, the blues and reds of the antioxidants. So it will have more than that, more of those. And red wines tend to be less sweet. So they won't have as high of a carbohydrate and sugar content as some of the white wines. But it also comes down to, like Melissa said, just about moderation. So if you're not drinking, often, and you enjoy a glass of white wine, then you should absolutely go for that white wine.
Yeah. And what's the recommended do you know what the recommended serving size is? Is it 4 ounces? I know it's not.
Yeah, and of course women get less. So I think men get around 2 ounces more per serving than women. So yep. I think it's 4 ounces for women and 5 or 6 for men.
Men.
And the average wine glass is probably 8 ounces.
Yeah, at least.
Yeah.
I think, yeah, I recently got a beautiful set of glasses from Simon Pierce, the glass blowing company, and those are definitely like 12 ounces. So I think that, the overall goal of a brain healthy diet is to provide you with tools and resources, and just starting to introduce some of these foods into your diet is so important. Everyone has days where you might eat a little bit less healthier, but don't be discouraged. Just introduce now and then. And I always like to use a salad to add on beans or nuts and get all those memory boosting foods on a salad, and get your greens in too. That's a nice way to do it.
Nice.
Yeah.
And I'm going to ask Melissa if you could stop sharing your
Of course.
screen for a minute.
Stop share. Yep, there we go.
Back to this. And so are there any other questions for Jenna or Melissa as far as diet, nutrition, and feeding your brain goes? Oh, Carol, you're on. Yeah, go ahead.
I'd like to ask about gluten-free. I've been gluten-free for almost 10 years.
Go ahead, Jeff. Yeah.
Oh, I mean, are you just asking about gluten in general and how it affects overall health?
Well, I know it's, I have been successful with it because I have a lot of arthritis and it's holding things in place, plus digestive issues. But I do a lot of baking. Obviously, I must be using sugar, right? Flours I'm getting are basically King Arthur, and I'm just wondering whether or not those flours are as equal to whole grain flours.
Typically not. I mean, I guess it depends on the kind of flour you're using, but normally like all-purpose gluten-free baking flour is going to be lower in fiber than like a whole wheat baking flour. But obviously if you're following this diet because it helps with your inflammation and your arthritis, then I would definitely recommend sticking with a gluten-free diet. But you're right, it's just of course, with baking comes those sugars, which are really pro-inflammatory. It's not really the flour itself. It's, a lot of times it's the added sugar that's involved. But like Melissa brought up, trying to use some of those more unprocessed sugars, like honey and maple syrup in recipes, so they're not so processed.
Okay. Yeah. I know a lot
Thank
of people have gone gluten-free. For different reasons, so that's that was a great question.
Very good question.
Yeah.
And can I ask Jenna a question? This is Judy. How do we treat gluten-free within the community?
At Hillside Village?
Yes.
So I know that the kitchen, it's not a dedicated gluten-free facility, but I know that they work really hard at people who are requesting gluten-free, that they honor that. So if it's something that you've been considering, you could definitely talk with the kitchen staff and they can just put a note in there about, offering you more gluten-free choices. But it really comes down to you kind of having to kind of request it and kind of tell us and that it's something that that you're wishing for.
Well, all the gluten-free items on the menu are noted GF.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
okay. I know we even have vegan options some nights for dinner too.
There's a vegan option every night.
Every night, okay, yeah,
It's awesome.
yeah.
Yeah. And Hillside uses a lot of the local farms to get fresh produce and such and support local businesses. Is that right?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah, almost anything they can get locally, they do, or as local as they can. Vermont, you know, even parts of Western Mass, I think some items come from also.
Yeah, they consider local within 40 miles.
Hmm.
Okay.
The
Wow.
executive chef just wrote an article to be published in the Blackbrook Ripples about where he gets all his food, local and elsewhere.
Oh, excellent.
Wow.
And we just had our city inspection yesterday, and we scored 100,
Wow.
Yeah.
Great.
which is unheard of.
Yeah.
Amazing. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
Nice.
Our staff does an amazing job.
Yeah, they do, because they really go in and they look at every single item and cleanliness and other dates on everything. And yeah, so that's a pretty hefty inspection that they give.
And you don't know when the inspector is showing up, they just show up. And he watched team members prepare food, and he was highly complimentary of them.
Oh,
That's
wow.
great.
Yeah,
Awesome, yeah.
awesome.
All right. Well, are there any other questions for anyone? I'm going to.
Just a comment. I'm looking at this noggin to nourish, and all I can think of are those walnuts. And there was a recipe, I think in the weekend paper, and I haven't done a whole lot of cooking since I've moved to Hillside Village, but I cut it out because I thought it looked good. Now that I know how good the walnut is, I'm definitely going to make the apple carrot walnut pancake.
Oh, that sounds good.
Ooh, that sounds so good.
So what time should we be over for breakfast? You don't mind a few guests, do you?
And we're getting some great omega-3s with those walnuts or pecans or pistachios. Yeah, that's great.
Whoever said they liked savory instead of, or as much as or more than sweet, these are savory. They're not sweet. So good.
Ooh, that's right up my alley then.
We'll just share that. All right. So I'm gonna try and get this. So the next events in our Fall Healthy Living virtual series, in addition to some programming on Alzheimer's and dementia, we have a couple open houses where, you know, we'll talk about, I like to call it the meat and potatoes of Hillside Village, which is the independent living, or the assisted living and memory care, which is at Prospect Woodward. But one thing that, like we were just saying about our chef, you know, and how he incorporates all these different aspects of healthy living, we really do focus on offering things that help to keep you independent as possible. You know, so it's much easier to walk down the hall and go to the gym than, you know, to get up at 5 in the morning, and especially in the winter, and get dressed and go to a gym. You know, or having, you know, someone prepare foods. A lot of times I live alone, so sometimes food is not really the first thing on my mind, and I get home from work and I don't feel like cooking, you know, and you end up maybe making bad choices. So what we're going to talk about will be, you know, incorporate how we make it easier for the residents here to live that healthy lifestyle. So those are coming up. The independent living is on Thursday, the 24th at 11. And then the assisted living and memory care will be on October 1st, also at 11. So I'm going to stop sharing, and I'd like to just thank everyone who's here. Thank you, Melissa and Jenna, for taking time out of your day for this presentation. I hope all of you enjoyed it, and I hope that we'll see you at some of the other events that are coming up into the rest of September. I can't believe we're at the end of September and heading towards October. Today is officially the first day of fall.
Oh,
We
I
hope
didn't know
that we'll
that.
see you out and about and around via webinars. And thank you again, all of you, for joining. So keep an eye on your email. We'll send you a nice healthy recipe, and we're going to get some information on gallic acid.
Yes.
So we'll make sure we send that along to you as well.
That's right. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great
Thank you
day.
so much. Good to see everybody.
Good to see you as well.
Bye.
Bye.